My boyfriend invited his work husband to our Valentine's dinner and told me not to be jealous. Valentine's Day had always meant something special to me. Not the overpriced roses or the crowded restaurants, not even the heart-shaped chocolates that tasted like regular chocolate anyway. It was the feeling behind it, the quiet moment when someone looked at you and silently said, "You matter to me." And this year, I thought it would finally be perfect. Because this year, I had Ethan. Ethan and I had been together for almost 2 years. He was funny, gentle, a little chaotic, and somehow always managed to make the worst days feel lighter. He worked as a project manager at a tech company, which meant long hours, endless meetings, and a mysterious coworker he talked about constantly. "Daniel saved my life today," he said one night while we were cooking pasta. "Daniel?" I asked. "My work husband." I nearly dropped the wooden spoon. "You're what?" He laughed like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Work husband. You know, the guy who keeps me sane at work." I rolled my eyes but smiled. "Should I be worried?" "Of course not," he said, leaning over to kiss my cheek. "You're the real wife." I didn't think much about it at the time. Until Valentine's Day. For weeks, I had been planning the dinner. Nothing extravagant, just something meaningful. I reserved a table at La Rosa, a cozy Italian restaurant filled with candlelight and soft violin music. The kind of place where couples leaned across the table and whispered secrets. I even bought a red dress. Not the flashy kind, just simple and elegant, the kind Ethan once said made me look like a movie scene. Everything felt perfect. Until 2 days before Valentine's Day. Ethan was sitting on the couch scrolling through his phone when he suddenly said, very casually, "Hey, I invited Daniel to dinner with us." I froze. "You what?" He looked up like nothing was strange. "Daniel, my work husband. He's joining us on Valentine." The words didn't register properly. "Ethan," I said slowly, "Valentine's Day is for couples." He shrugged. "He's basically family." My stomach twisted. Why would he come to our romantic dinner? Ethan grinned. "You won't be jealous, right?" I stared at him. He said it so lightly, like the question meant nothing. Like my feelings were a joke. "I'm not jealous," I said quietly. But something inside me shifted. Valentine's Day arrived faster than I expected. The restaurant glowed with soft golden lights when we arrived. Every table held a small candle and a tiny vase with a single rose. Couples filled the room. Hands touching. Eyes smiling. It should have felt magical. Instead, I kept glancing at the empty chair across from us. Ethan was scrolling through his phone. "Daniel's running 5 minutes late," he said. I forced a smile. Of course he is. 5 minutes later, the restaurant door opened. And Daniel walked in. He was taller than I expected, with messy brown hair and a confident smile. He spotted Ethan instantly. "Etia-chan." Before I could even stand up, Ethan jumped to his feet and hugged him. A full, enthusiastic hug. In the middle of our Valentine's dinner. I sat there holding the menu, while my boyfriend hugged another man like they hadn't seen each other in years. Daniel finally noticed me. "Oh," he said, "you must be Lily." I nodded politely. "And you must be the famous Daniel." He laughed. "Famous? Ethan talks about you a lot." Daniel smirked and slid into the chair. "Only good things, I hope." Ethan grinned. "Mostly." I smiled. But inside, something felt strange. The dinner started normally enough. The waiter took our orders, wine was poured, soft music played in the background. But the conversation, it barely included me. "Remember the client meeting disaster," Daniel said. Ethan burst out laughing. "Oh my God, when you spilled coffee on the presentation. That was your fault. You distracted me." They laughed like best friends, reliving old memories. I sipped my wine quietly. Every now and then, Ethan would glance at me and say something like, "Lily, you'd love our office chaos." Or, "Daniel is the reason I survive Mondays." But most of the time, it was just them. Their jokes, their stories, their laughter. By the time the main course arrived, I felt like a third wheel on my own Valentine's date. Finally, Daniel leaned back in his chair. "You two are adorable, by the way." Ethan smiled. "Right." Daniel looked at me thoughtfully. "You're very patient." I raised an eyebrow. "With what?" "With him." Ethan threw a napkin at him. "Hey." Daniel laughed. "I'm serious. Ethan at work is a disaster." "That's not true," Ethan protested. "Oh, please," Daniel said. "If I wasn't there, you'd forget half your meetings." Ethan pointed at him dramatically. "See, work husband." Daniel smirked. "Someone has to take care of him." The words hung in the air. Something about them made my chest tighten. Because for the first time that night, I noticed the way Ethan looked at Daniel. Comfortable, relaxed, effortless, and a tiny, quiet voice in my head whispered a dangerous thought. What if I wasn't the most important person in his life anymore? The dessert menu arrived. Heart-shaped cheesecake, chocolate lava cake, strawberries dipped in chocolate. Romantic, perfect, and completely ruined by the tension building inside me. Ethan leaned toward Daniel. "Should we split the lava cake like always?" Like always. The phrase hit me harder than it should have. Daniel grinned. "Obviously." I stared at them. "You two split dessert every time." Daniel nodded. "Work tradition." I forced a laugh. "Of course it is." Ethan looked at me. "You okay?" I hesitated, and then finally asked the question that had been building all night. "Ethan, why did you really invite him?" The table went quiet. Daniel looked between us. Ethan blinked. "What do you mean?" "It's Valentine's Day." And this was supposed to be our night. For the first time, Ethan's smile faded slightly. "I thought it would be fun." Daniel suddenly stood up. "I should probably go." "No," Ethan said quickly. But Daniel shook his head. "I think you two need to talk." He placed some cash on the table and gave me a small, understanding smile. "Nice meeting you, Lily." And just like that, he left. The silence after he walked away felt enormous. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. "You're really upset." I looked at the flickering candle between us. "I just wanted tonight to be about us." He sighed. "It is about us." Then why did it feel like I was interrupting something? The question lingered in the air. Ethan didn't answer immediately. And somehow, that scared me more than anything. My boyfriend invited his work husband to our Valentine's dinner and told me not to be jealous. Part 2, the secret behind the work husband. The restaurant suddenly felt too quiet. Just minutes ago, laughter had filled the table. Now there was only the faint sound of forks against plates from other couples around us. I stared at the candle between Ethan and me. The flame flickered softly, reflecting in his eyes. But he wasn't smiling anymore. "Lily," he said gently. "Did you think I wouldn't care?" I asked. My voice came out softer than I expected, but the hurt inside it was impossible to hide. Ethan leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. "I honestly didn't think it would bother you this much." "That's the problem." He frowned. "What do you mean?" "You didn't think about it at all." The words hung between us. For the first time since we arrived, Ethan looked genuinely uneasy. "I thought you liked Daniel." "I barely know Daniel." "But he's important to me." That sentence landed heavier than he probably intended. I looked at him carefully. How important? Ethan rubbed his temples like he was trying to organize his thoughts. You know how crazy work has been this year. I nodded slightly. His company had been going through a massive project. Late nights, weekend calls, endless stress. And Daniel helped you through it, I said. More than that. Ethan paused. Then he said something that made my chest tighten. He's the reason I didn't quit. I blinked. What? Ethan looked down at his hands. 6 months ago, things got really bad at work. My boss was pushing impossible deadlines. Half the team quit. He let out a dry laugh. I was about 2 days away from walking out. Why didn't you tell me? I asked quietly. He hesitated. I didn't want you to worry. That familiar excuse. But tonight, it didn't comfort me. So Daniel knew, I said. Yeah,